Imagine living in a world without electricity. No heaters humming quietly in the background, no glowing radiators, no thermostats on the wall. When the sun disappeared below the horizon, darkness filled the house. The cold slowly crept in through wooden walls and small windows. The only defense against winter was fire. For people living in medieval and early modern Europe, warmth was not a convenience. It was survival. In the northern regions of Europe, especially in Scandinavia, winter was not just a season. It was a long and powerful force that shaped everyday life. In places like Sweden, the snow could cover the land for months. Rivers froze into solid ice. Forests stood silent under thick layers of snow, and the daylight hours grew painfully short. Sometimes the sun barely rose above the horizon before it began to set again. For the people who lived there, every winter brought the same question: would there be enough warmth to survive until spring? Most families lived in wooden houses built from thick logs. These homes were strong, but they were not perfect at keeping out the cold. Wind slipped through tiny gaps between the wood. Frost formed on the inside of windows. At night, the temperature inside the house could fall so low that people slept under heavy blankets and animal furs just to stay comfortable. Firewood was life. Long before winter arrived, families began preparing for the cold months ahead. Men traveled into nearby forests with axes to cut down trees. Large trunks were split into heavy logs. Children helped carry smaller branches back to the house. Women stacked the wood carefully so it could dry before winter arrived. Wet wood burned poorly, producing smoke instead of heat. Dry wood burned clean and strong. Every piece of wood mattered. A family might need several tons of firewood to survive one winter. Inside the house, the fire was the center of daily life. People cooked their meals beside it, warmed their hands beside it, and gathered around it in the evening. The glow of the flames was often the only light in the room. Outside, the wind howled across frozen fields, but inside the small circle around the fire, there was warmth, light, and safety. Yet even with a fire burning, staying warm was not easy. In many homes, the heating system was simply an open fireplace built into a wall. The flames looked impressive, but the design had a serious flaw. Most of the heat created by the fire rushed straight up the chimney and disappeared outside. Only a small amount remained in the room. People sometimes joked that the fireplace heated the sky more than the house. Because of this inefficiency, families had to burn wood constantly. Someone always needed to add another log to the fire. If the flames died down during the night, the temperature in the house could drop quickly. Morning often began with stiff fingers, cold breath visible in the air, and the urgent task of relighting the fire. The problem was not only comfort, it was also resources. During the early modern period, Sweden was becoming one of Europe's major producers of iron. Iron was essential for tools, weapons, farming equipment, and construction. Producing iron required large amounts of charcoal, which was made by burning wood in special conditions. This meant vast forests were cut down to feed the iron industry. At the same time, ordinary families also needed enormous amounts of wood simply to heat their homes during winter. The demand for wood was growing rapidly, and forests were disappearing faster than they could regrow. To make matters worse, Europe was experiencing a colder climate period. Known today as the Little Ice Age, winters became longer and harsher across much of the continent. In northern countries like Sweden, the cold felt even more severe. People burned more wood than ever before just to stay warm. By the 18th century, Sweden faced a serious problem. The country needed wood for industry, but it also needed wood for heating homes. If the forests continued disappearing, both the economy and daily life would suffer. The government realized something had to change. In 1767, Swedish authorities asked engineers and scientists to develop a new kind of heating system. The goal was simple but challenging. The new stove needed to produce more heat while using far less wood. two men accepted the challenge. One was an architect named Carl Johann Kronstadt. The other was an engineer named Fabian Reed. Instead of trying to build a bigger fireplace, they approached the problem differently. They asked a new question. What if the heat from the fire could be captured and stored instead of wasted? Traditional fireplaces allowed hot smoke and gases to escape immediately through the chimney. Kronstadt and Reed designed a system that forced the hot smoke to travel through a maze of narrow channels inside a tall brick structure before leaving the chimney. As the hot gases moved slowly through these winding passages, they transferred their heat into the surrounding bricks. The entire stove gradually absorbed the heat like a massive thermal battery. Once the fire finished burning, something remarkable happened. The bricks, now filled with stored heat, began releasing warmth slowly into the room. Instead of heating the house for only a short time, the stove could continue warming the room for many hours. In fact, a fire burning for just 2 or 3 hours could provide warmth for nearly an entire day. This invention became known as the Swedish tile stove. Tall, elegant, and highly efficient, it transformed the way homes were heated across the country. The exterior of the stove was usually covered with smooth ceramic tiles. These tiles were not only beautiful but also practical. They helped spread the heat evenly across the surface of the stove and slowly release it into the room. Instead of blasting hot air like a fireplace, the stove produced radiant heat. This kind of warmth works differently. It warms objects and people directly, similar to the way sunlight warms your skin on a cold day. Furniture, walls, and even the floor gradually absorbed the heat and released it back into the room. The result was a comfortable, steady warmth without strong drafts or constant fire maintenance. For families, the difference was enormous. Instead of feeding the fire all day, they could light it once in the morning or evening and enjoy warmth for hours afterward. The amount of wood required for heating dropped dramatically. Some estimates suggested the new stoves used only a fraction of the wood required by traditional fireplaces. Word about the new design spread quickly. Soon the tile stove became common throughout Sweden. In large city homes, several stoves might heat different rooms. In smaller farmhouses, a single stove often served as the center of family life. People worked beside it, rested beside it, and sometimes even slept on benches built near it where the warmth was strongest. Over time, these stoves became more than practical tools. They became works of art. Craftsmen created beautiful ceramic tiles decorated with patterns, colors, and carved designs. Some stoves were simple and white, while others featured detailed artwork. In wealthy homes, they stood tall and elegant, reaching almost to the ceiling. But like many technologies, their dominance did not last forever. During the 20th century, electricity spread rapidly across Europe. Modern heating systems began appearing in homes. Radiators connected to central heating could warm entire houses without the need to chop wood, carry logs, or manage a fire. For many families, this convenience was impossible to resist. As homes were renovated and modernized, thousands of tile stoves were removed. Walls were rebuilt, chimneys were sealed, and the old stoves were dismantled piece by piece. Many disappeared completely. Within just a few decades, an invention that had warmed Swedish homes for centuries nearly vanished from everyday life. Yet not all of them were lost. Some survived in historic buildings, old farmhouses, and museums. Today, historians, architects, and craftsmen have begun rediscovering the brilliance of the design. Modern masonry heaters still use the same basic principle developed in the 18th century. A short, hot fire heats a massive structure that slowly releases warmth for hours. Even in the modern world, this method remains one of the most efficient ways to heat a home using wood. Looking at these old tile stoves today is like looking at a forgotten piece of engineering wisdom. They remind us that people in the past faced the same challenges we face today: limited resources, harsh environments, and the need for smart solutions. Using only bricks, clay, and ceramic tiles, they created a heating system that was both beautiful and incredibly efficient. It was an invention born from necessity during a time of crisis. A simple idea that helped an entire nation survive long and unforgiving winters. And sometimes, the most impressive technologies are not the newest inventions, but the quiet, forgotten designs from the past that once kept the cold away from millions of homes.